days, and right now they're not playing so well. What do you think the Phillies need to do, Darren?
Well, right now, number one, they need to get healthy.
One of most celebrated catcher of his time, Darren Daulton, was one of a kind. He was a key leader for the Phillies, earning 3 All-Star selections and helping the team reach the 1993 World Series. Off the field, Daulton faced personal challenges, including injuries and legal troubles. His death was very saddening for the sporting world, especially Phillies fans. Before we dive in any further, please subscribe to the channel. Oh, and don't forget to hit that like button. On July 1st, 2013, Daulton underwent surgery at Thomas Jefferson University Hospital in Philadelphia to remove 2 brain tumors caused by glioblastoma, a very aggressive form of brain cancer. The news shocked his fans and the baseball community, who had always admired his toughness and resilience on the field. After the surgery, Daulton showed his characteristic fighting spirit, undergoing treatments and trying to stay positive despite the challenging diagnosis. Unfortunately, the cancer came back in early 2017, proving just how relentless this disease can be. Even as his health declined, Daulton remained an inspiration to many, known for his determination and strength. Sadly, on August 6, 2017, Darren Daulton passed away at the age of 55, leaving behind a legacy not only as a great ball player, but as a fighter who never gave up. His loss was deeply felt, especially by Phillies fans, who continue to remember him as the heart and soul of their team. Daulton's life off the field was not without its struggles, and he faced a series of legal troubles that often painted him as a troubled and unpredictable figure. Over the years, he was arrested multiple times, including for driving under the influence and driving with a suspended license. These incidents highlighted a pattern of poor decisions that seemed to follow him during and after his playing career. One of the more troubling aspects of his legal issues involved charges of domestic violence, which added to the perception that Daulton's life was spiraling out of control. For fans who admired his grit and leadership on the baseball field, these incidents were difficult to reconcile with the image of the player they cheered for. Daulton's run-ins with the law didn't define his entire story, but they were a reminder of the personal battles he faced. Many of those who knew him described him as complex, someone who carried the weight of his struggles while also displaying moments of warmth and charisma. In 2007, Daulton surprised many by stepping into the world of publishing with his book, If They Only Knew. It was far from the typical memoir fans might expect from a former athlete. Instead, the book focused on Daulton's deeply personal beliefs about topics like ascension, living in multiple dimensions, reincarnation, and out-of-body experiences. It reflected a spiritual journey that seemed to set him apart from the tough, no-nonsense catcher fans remembered from his playing days. While some saw the book as an intriguing glimpse into Daulton's inner world, it was largely met with skepticism and even ridicule. Many critics dismissed his ideas as bizarre, and some fans were left scratching their heads wondering how the man who had once led their beloved Phillies to the World Series could write about such abstract and unscientific concepts. The release of the book also raised questions about Daulton's mental health. Some worried that his unconventional beliefs and the way he expressed them might point to deeper struggles. Despite the backlash, Daulton stood by his work, insisting that these ideas were an important part of his life's journey. Daulton's second marriage ended in a bitter and highly publicized divorce, adding more turmoil to his already complicated personal life. The split was anything but smooth, with accusations of abuse surfacing during the proceedings. These claims cast a dark shadow over Daulton's public image, leaving fans and observers shocked and saddened. For a man who had been celebrated as a leader and a fighter on the baseball field, these allegations were difficult to hear. They painted a picture of someone struggling to keep his personal life in check, and they further distanced him from the hero image many fans had of him during his Phillies days. The messy divorce didn't just hurt Daulton's reputation, it also highlighted the personal challenges he seemed to face off the field. While his athletic career showcased his strength and resilience, his personal life often seemed to be marked by chaos and conflict. Daulton's journey to becoming a Major League Baseball star began when the Philadelphia Phillies took a chance on him in the 25th round of the 1980 MLB draft. For a late-round pick, the odds of making it to the big leagues were slim, but Daulton was determined to prove himself. After a few years in the minors, he finally got his first taste of the majors on September 25th, 1983, when he made his debut for the Phillies. That season, however, he only had 3 at-bats, a small glimpse of what was to come. During his early years with the team, Daulton found himself stuck behind 2 talented catchers, Ozzie Virgil Jr. and Lance Parrish, both all-stars who dominated the position. As a result, Daulton didn't see much playing time and was mostly used sparingly. By the end of the 1988 season, he had yet to establish himself offensively with a career batting average of just .206, barely above what's known as the Mendoza line, a term used for players hovering near a 200 batting average. He also never played more than 60 games in any single season during that period. What kept Daulton in the mix was his value as a defensive catcher. Even when his bat wasn't producing, his skills behind the plate, his ability to handle pitchers, and his leadership on the field made him an asset. Finally, in 1989, he got his big break, becoming the Phillies' full-time catcher. Daulton's breakout season came in 1990, marking a turning point in his career. It was his first year as the Phillies' primary catcher, and he didn't disappoint. That season, he hit .268 and drove in 57 runs, showing the team and fans that he could deliver both at the plate and behind it. His strong performance earned him a 3-year contract worth $6.75 million, a clear sign that the Phillies believed in his potential. A highlight of that year came on August 15th, when Daulton was behind the plate for Terry Mulholland's no-hitter, cementing his reputation as a dependable catcher. However, like any athlete, Daulton faced his ups and downs. In 1991, he hit a slump, and his batting average dipped below 200, raising concerns about whether he could bounce back. But in true Daulton fashion, he responded in a big way. In 1992, he had the best season of his career up to that point, leading the National League with an impressive 109 RBIs. It wasn't just the RBIs. He also ranked among the league's top players in categories like on-base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, home runs, walks, runs created, and extra base hits. His outstanding year earned him his first All-Star appearance, the NL Silver Slugger Award, and a 6th-place finish in NL MVP voting. Daulton's leadership and production reached new heights in 1993, a magical season for the Phillies. He was one of the driving forces behind the team's run to the NL pennant. Although the Phillies fell short in the World Series, losing to the Toronto Blue Jays, Daulton's contributions didn't go unnoticed. He was named an All-Star again, drove in over 100 runs for the 2nd straight year, and finished 7th in NL MVP voting. Once more, he ranked among the league's best in on-base percentage, RBIs, walks, and extra base hits, as well as in times on-base and intentional walks. Daulton's career, like many athletes, was eventually impacted by injuries, and for him, it was his knees that took the biggest toll. In 1994, he was having another fantastic season, hitting .300 with 15 home runs and 56 RBIs through just 67 games. It looked like he was on pace for another All-Star caliber year, but an injury cut his season short, marking the beginning of a difficult stretch in his career. Despite the setbacks, Daulton continued to battle. In 1995, he earned his 3rd All-Star selection, proving he was still a force to be reckoned with. However, the toll on his body was evident. He played in just 98 games that year and finished with 9 home runs, a far cry from his peak years. Unfortunately, August 25, 1995, marked a turning point, as it was the last time Daulton ever caught a big league game. The strain of crouching behind the plate became too much for his injured knees to handle. By 1996, the injuries had taken over. Daulton missed nearly the entire season, appearing in just 5 games, and even then, not as a catcher. He made a brief transition to the outfield in an effort to keep his bat in the lineup, but his playing time was limited as he continued to recover. In 1997, Daulton made a determined comeback. He returned as an outfielder and also played 42 games at first base, adapting to new positions to stay in the game. While his body was no longer able to handle the demands of catching, his bat remained productive, and his presence on the field was still valuable. On July 21, 1997, after spending an incredible 17 years with the Philadelphia Phillies organization, Daulton's time in the city of brotherly love came to an end. The Phillies traded their longtime leader to the Florida Marlins in exchange for outfielder Billy McMillan. By this point in his career, Daulton's knee injuries had taken a significant toll, making it impossible for him to continue catching. Instead, he was primarily used as a first baseman and a pinch hitter. Despite his physical challenges, Daulton proved he still had plenty to offer. He finished the 1997 regular season with solid numbers, batting .263 with 14 home runs, 63 RBIs, and 68 runs scored over 395 at-bats. His veteran presence and leadership were exactly what the young Marlins team needed as they pushed toward the postseason. Daulton saved some of his best moments for the biggest stage of his career, the 1997 World Series. In the series against the Cleveland Indians, he was a key contributor, hitting an impressive .389 and delivering in clutch moments. His experience and calm demeanor were crucial as the Marlins went on to win the championship in a thrilling 7-game series. For Daulton, it was the perfect way to end his career, a World Series title after years of hard work, perseverance, and overcoming adversity. Shortly after the Marlins' victory, Daulton announced his retirement from baseball. It was a bittersweet moment for fans who had followed his journey, but it was clear he was stepping away on his own terms, going out as a champion. In the years after his legal troubles and time in jail, Darren Daulton made a conscious effort to turn his life around. He openly acknowledged his past mistakes and began working to rebuild his reputation. In 2013, alongside his wife Amanda, Daulton took a major step in giving back by founding the Darren Daulton Foundation. This foundation had a special mission: to provide financial assistance to people battling primary brain tumors, a cause that hit close to home for Daulton after his own diagnosis. Over the years, the foundation has made a tremendous difference, awarding grants to more than 100 individuals and distributing over $250,000 to those in need. Even after Daulton's passing, the foundation remains active, continuing the legacy of compassion and support he started. Daulton also stayed connected to the game and the fans who adored him. From 2010 to 2016, during the Philadelphia Phillies season, he hosted a popular radio show called Talking Baseball with Dutch. Airing on WPEN in Philadelphia from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., the show allowed him to share his insights, stories, and love for baseball. Over his 14-year Major League Baseball career, Daulton made a lasting impact, both as a player and a leader on the field. When all was said and done, Daulton had played in 161 games, posting a career batting average of 245. While that number might not jump off the page, his power and ability to drive in runs stood out. He finished his career with 137 home runs, 588 RBIs, and 501 runs scored, stats that showcased his value to his teams, especially during some of his peak years with the Phillies. One of the biggest honors Daulton received came from baseball historian Bill James, who ranked him as the 25th greatest catcher of all time in his Historical Baseball Abstract in 2001. On August 6, 2010, Daulton's legacy in Philadelphia was cemented in a special way when he was inducted into the Philadelphia Baseball Wall of Fame. This honor was a reflection of his significance to the city and the franchise, where he spent the majority of his career. Being inducted into the Wall of Fame was a moment of recognition for everything Daulton had given to the team and its fans over the years, from his leadership to his grit on the field. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. Make sure to subscribe to Baseball Icons so that you never miss an update. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check this one out too.